Hi there everybody, Peter of England here, bringing you a major announcement on behalf of Bank for its planned project for 2020. This message is coming to you over the festive period. Christmas is now out of the way, New Year yet to come, Brexit in the United Kingdom hopefully now satisfactorily resolved, so that brings us into a new phase with a potential for England, the potential for London to bring a new initiative into the world concerning one of the, if not the largest problem that faces the world today, and that is the subject and the topic of debt. Debt which you all have, debt which you all own, and financial debt slavery is the thing that is toxically poisoning society, culture, you, your family, and the ability for the human race to make progress. So, what the major content of this video today is to announce that there is going to be a webinar on the 15th of January 2020, which I encourage you, your neighbour, your family, and anyone that you can pass this message on to attend, so that I can clarify the points that I am unable to cover in such precise detail in the course of the next 15 or 20 minutes of this video. What is also of concern is that YouTube, or social media generally, seems to be shadow banning the figures, not only for subscribers, but also for views on the videos. This is a common occurrence these days when people are trying to reveal maybe some information or bring a new sense of justice and direction to the world. So please just be aware of the fact that who knows how long these videos might stay there. So please download them and pass them on to friends if possible. Now, what I'd like to cover is the fact that in 2015, as many of you may know and many of you will not know, Bank commenced its battle against the global financial Zionist elite for the ability, or to show you the ability of how to create your own banking instruments. So in effect, Bank, what it did is it showed you, the individual, how to become a private banker by the issuance of a promissory note, and then with a checkbook attached to that instrument for you to be able to pay off your debts. Now note, those were debts that we were asking you to pay off. It was nowhere ever mentioned or inclined towards you that you would be paying off for consumer items. So it was a debt eradication program, and that was the thing that we led the world into in 2015. Within 10 months, we were in over 25 countries worldwide, and that was a phenomenal success. So, where I'm leading this to today is a major announcement that Bank is able to present to you now and to the world a methodology whereby a financial global reset or a jubilee on debt is perfectly placeable and possible, and all it requires is you to join with us. How this is to be done will be explained in further detail in the webinar. However, for now, the simplest methodology that I could explain to you is that in effect you have a contract, so-called contract at the moment, with your creditor. Now, what Bank is going to do is to set itself up, and has done, as what's called an ASP, Alternative Service Provider. And what you are going to do is to sell your debt. That's right, you, as the so-called debtor, are going to sell your debt to Bank. Bank has teamed up with an organisation called Freeman Legal Services, and Freeman Legal Services are the organisation that is going to prepare the legal documentation to make this all possible. So, in effect, this announcement is about a financial reset, a financial jubilee on debt. This has been promised by many individuals and many organisations in the past. For example, Neil Keenan with his White Dragon Society in the Far East, Swiss Indo, the OPPT Trust, various organisations have promised it. In the United Kingdom particularly, there's an organisation called Positive Money who've danced around the maypole talking about ways to change the money supply system for the last decade. Now, what we find is that none of these individuals or organisations have met with any success, and in effect we think that it's been a stalling tactic. So, in effect, you are being sabotaged. You're being sabotaged by a multi-pronged attack. This multi-pronged attack, of which there are probably 7 key elements involved, are as follows. You have a sabotaging effect perpetrated upon you so that you can't get yourself out of this debt spiral or death spiral. And this is perpetrated on you by the judiciary, the executive and legislative branches of government. That is in effect controlled by then a Vatican, Masonic, secret manipulation in the background, added to by the corporatocracy out there, the large money men, the moguls of industry, and that's in turn predicated and backed up by the fake news media. So, as you can see, there is nowhere for you to turn to. You can't rely on the courts. You can't rely on the police. You cannot rely on the politicians. For example, in England, the 650 traitorous animals that occupy Westminster. These individuals are bought and paid for and are there to keep the money go round, the debt carousel forever spinning, with you at the wrong end of the carousel. So, in effect, as I repeat, there is an offer now. There is an offer on the table whereby a organisation, a bank with over 1 billion in assets to its name is in a position now to come along and help you to sell your debt to it. As I repeat, Freeman Legal Services will take care of the administration on this. This will be further explained in the webinar. Now, what we'd like you to do from here on in is to realise that the battle ahead, the battle that WearBank is waging against the global banking cartels, the central banks who put over, in the Fed alone in New York, over 1 billion every day into the markets, into the capital and equity markets. The European Central Bank puts probably double that amount in. So what happens is the stock markets inflate, the rich get richer, and you become more austere. So what we want to do is bring, in effect, a QE, a quantitative easing for the people. This quantitative easing has been rolled out by the central banks to juice in and jam, put a flavoursome jam in the sandwich for the global corporatocracy and the elite. So what we're going to do is reverse this project now and bring the quantitative easing to you in the form of debt elimination. So it's a biblical struggle, it's a huge task that is ahead of us, but I assure you it can be done because WearBank has been shown the methodology of how to perform these actions. So, we're going to show you, 1, how to sell your debt. Secondly, we're going to show you that all court orders, all enforcement actions against you, whether you're in Australia, whether you're in New Zealand, whether you're in the United States, or whether you're in the United Kingdom, Ireland, or almost anywhere else in the world, are fraudulent. Most of the court orders that are being promulgated against you have no judge's signature on, no court stamp, and in many cases the debt recovery agencies, whether it's council tax, whether it's state taxes or local taxes in the United States, are being created on Xerox machines in back rooms. And without a certain amount of credibility, then they're unenforceable. So, the offer, once again, to you is that of debt assumption by another party. someone to take over the debt burden from you. So please do not underestimate the relevance of what I'm saying. Pass the information on to all people that you know and encourage them to come along to the webinar. The webinar, there is a slight charge for the webinar to cover administration costs, but please, I assure you, it will be money very, very well spent. So, just to check that I haven't left anything out here, the debts that we're looking at, whether you have a mortgage debt, whether you have a credit card debt, whether it's a student loan debt, whether it's for capital machinery, for example, if you're a farmer or you're in business, whether it's capital gains taxes, whether it's state or federal taxes if you're in the United States, whether it's council tax, whatever the form of debt, make a list of, say, your top 2 or 3 now and prepare these for post-webinar on January the 15th, 2020. Okay? So you need to just go, as it shows here, to www.removement.net, go to the shop, click on the product which shows webinar seat, and you will then eventually be sent a link to the webinar, and also what we include with that is a small informative information pack which covers some of the major things that we're going to be covering in the webinar to help give you some idea of maybe a question or two that you would like to ask. So, we are looking to break once and for all the vicious and pernicious debt circle that's enslaving you, your family, your community, and the nation. There are ways now that we can achieve this, and I assure you they are valid, and we can ensure that this, as I said before, this biblical struggle, which is a struggle between a Christ-like consciousness and a satanic energy that's wrapped you in complexity. The complexity of this wrap that's around you is its weakness, because we can come at it with some very, very concise, well-documented, but not well-exposed methodology to ensure that we get you out of this trouble. So, pass this news to your friends and relatives. Follow the link to the webinar. Make sure you listen to the webinar on the 15th. Prepare your debt instruments, your details of your debts that you would like to submit. We will also be looking and showing you how to change your legal status to that of private banker, which is very, very important. Other organizations, especially in the United States, or one other, is doing a very, very similar thing. So we assure you, this is not pie in the sky. This is not something that I have made up after a night on the town. It's credible, it's realistic, it can be done, and what we're going to do is show you how to cross the bridge from one side to the other of this river of debt which is controlling your life. So, thank you for listening. Make sure you subscribe by subscribing and pressing the button and asking for further notifications. Make sure that you please attend the webinar, and in the meantime, if you wish to email us, you can. Probably the best one is admin1@freemanlegalservices.com. But for now, I thank you for listening. Please, as I say, circulate this information far and wide. Let's see the numbers go up from the views, and I look forward to probably making another video before the 15th, but if not, I welcome you all to the 15th of January 2020 at 7 o'clock London time for the webinar to change all webinars. Peter of England saying thank you, goodbye.